When it filed for bankruptcy in July, it became the largest American city to do that and admit defeat. Detroit's decline was more than 50 years in the making. The decline of the auto industry, race riots, a mass exodus, corruption, bad management, and bad luck. The end result, $18.5 billion of debt that Detroit can't pay. It looks like it has lost a war. It could be Dresden after the Allied bombing. Factories, stores, schools left to rot. Houses gutted by fire. Streets abandoned, derelict, populated by crime. Some 80,000 buildings abandoned. But drive a few minutes from the desolation, and you're in another city, another world. Clean streets, classy architecture, nice places to grab lunch, an oasis of activity. Hardly what comes to mind when you think bankruptcy. This is downtown Detroit, and its renaissance is largely due to one man.
Look out the window, it looks pretty good.
It's not what bankruptcy looks like, huh?
That man is Dan Gilbert, born in Detroit and the founder and chairman of Quicken Loans. He's invested more than $1 billion here, buying and renovating buildings in the city's central core.
In our case, I think it's doing well by doing good, and I think that fits very nicely together.
The city has lost nearly 2/3 of its population, more than 1 million residents, most of them white, over the last 60 years. So 3 years ago, Gilbert moved his company's headquarters from the suburbs to downtown.
Welcome to Detroit, everybody.
He has filled his buildings with more than 10,000 of his own employees, offers them subsidies to live here, sometimes even a ride to work. And to make them feel safe, he set up this security command center, which monitors some 300 cameras looking downtown. So far, Gilbert has managed to lure more than 90 companies here, including Chrysler, which never had an office downtown before. Now he wants to build a tech town on the ruins of what was once Motor City. This old theater was abandoned for 25 years. Twitter now has an office here, as do more than 20 internet startups that have all gotten seed money from Gilbert.
What's the pitch you give to companies to move here and for people to move here?
You can impact the outcome in Detroit, and that sells. It's crazy, but it sells. Here, you can actually see what you do affect a great American city, and it's hopefully a historical comeback. There's no big city in the world that I can think of that has strong neighborhoods and a weak downtown. But there's no doubt that absolutely the challenge of Detroit is to, have our neighborhoods come back.
Brightmoor used to house the American dream. Auto workers bought homes here, joined the middle class.
So you're constantly battling that enemy.
He's one of many activists doing this, and with help from corporations, including Dan Gilbert's, he has managed to demolish 300 houses. Paul Wirtz used to be a public school teacher. Now he's a farmer right in the middle of the city, cultivating acre after acre of abandoned lots. There used to be 10 houses here. Now there's kale.
Eggplant, tomatoes, lots of vegetables, potatoes and garlic. You can't see, they're underground.
And not just for family consumption. This movement, urban farming, is growing as a commercial venture. Everything is for sale.
If Detroit is in fact moving slowly uphill, do you think what you're doing, this movement, is part of it?
Yes. I think it's going to be the citizens that change it, a little at a time, and I think we're doing that.
Earlier this year, the governor of Michigan declared a financial emergency and appointed bankruptcy attorney Kevin Orr to take over Detroit. He's been given 18 months to figure out how to repair the damage caused by more than 50 years of plummeting tax revenues, spending sprees, borrowing binges, and corruption. Orr is looking for ways to free up more than $1 billion to restore basic services that have been missing for so long.
We're getting at some of the issues already, police, fire, EMS. When I leave, I think those issues are going to be in place.
Okay, now these things are, for you, more important than the numbers.
No, they're all equally important, because if I don't get the balance sheet issues resolved, I can't do anything else.
But balancing the books will include cutting health care and pension costs, which make up much of Detroit's debt. If Orr's declaration of bankruptcy is approved by a federal judge, it will allow Detroit to pay only a fraction of what it owes. to bondholders who lent it billions, and to city employees and retirees counting on their pensions.
What do you tell a pensioner who's making $20,000 a year that he might make less?
I'm sorry. This is unfortunate. I recognize how severe it is. These choices have been made for us a long time ago.
The dispute over who gets hit and how hard has moved into the unlikeliest of places, the Detroit Institute of Arts. The museum's director, Graham Beale, showed us around.
The whole collection is owned by the city.
When Kevin Orr hired Christie's auction house to appraise the collection, it created a frenzy about whether he might sell some of Detroit's treasures to help pay the bills.
Do you think it would be a very nice symbolic sign to people in the neighborhoods if you sold off a few very valuable paintings?
I'm really not interested so much in symbolism. I'm interested in what makes sense both now and in the legacy. New York didn't have to turn Central Park into condos.
The country will be watching the Motor City to see if it can begin moving forward after 50 years of going in reverse.